Ooh, boy, isn't it great to be alive on a 9:30 evening on a Wednesday evening with your boys reporting eligible here live once again, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is Free Agent Frenzy. This is the episode EP number 3. Myself, Berto, your host of the 95 North Falcons talk show. That's Bro Talk, host of his very own show at Dirty Bird Central, who just eclipsed, what is it, the 1,100 or 1,200 mark? Subscribers?
1,100. I'm still 1,100.
1,100? Hey, man, but that 1,200 is soon and fast approaching. What's going on to everybody? Shout out to the chat. We got our brother Dwayne Ruffin in the building from sunny SoCal. Mama Torres is in the house. Bendición, mommy. And Meckway Sports, what is going on? Yo, Sarian in the crew, what is going on? Bro Talk, man, Free Agent Frenzy is the title. That is the name of the game. And, brother, teams are spending money.
A little
spending money, man.
A little too much, just because you have cap space,
a
la Falcons in 2024 offseason.
Oh, God.
Doesn't necessarily mean you need to spend it all. Some teams, some good deals. Some teams maybe overspending to fill their needs. But all in all, I mean, we kind of expected it, right? With the inflation of the cap. It's, it's getting harder to sign people if you don't have cap space.
Right. Falcons, no stranger to the cap space situation. I think right now Sports Track has us right around $5 million, if I'm not mistaken. And yet the Falcons have not tapped into some of the contracts that we all kind of were wondering. The Chris Lindstrom restructure, a Jesse Bates possible restructure, and or contract extension, none of which have happened yet. I mean, there's really nothing more that you can say other than maybe they don't want to add extra years to these players. But these are two players that are still producing at an elite level. So why not for cap purposes? There's still a plethora of quality free agents left on the market. And our very own Atlanta Falcons have been active, between yesterday and today. Yeah, we've retained some people, which we'll get into shortly. But this is more so right now where we'll talk about what the entire NFL has done. Winners and losers. Folks in the chat, please, chime in. Let us know what you think. We'll bring up some of the teams that we feel like hit it out of the park. Mine's maybe different than Bro Talks and vice versa. But hey, listen, man, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. We've seen, I feel like the NFC have strengthened its value. Certain teams have come out swinging, making it maybe a little bit tougher for these Falcons to compete in the NFC conference. But, that's I don't know. Your face says it all, but we'll definitely jump right into it. Bro, talk to us, man. What do you feel as far as how the free agents and where they landed? How do they, play up to the teams? Give us your winner so far, in other words. Damsky, what's going on, brother?
Well, as far as winners in the league, I have a few. The first one being the Chicago Bears. They took a couple of former Falcons, right? They have invested. I know that one stung. And not even a full 12 hours. And Grady Jarrett was a Chicago Bear. Shout out to him.
Crazy.
He said, hey, Grady Jarrett said, even though he's not in Atlanta, Atlanta is his home. So he knows where he comes from. So big ass shout out to him. But the Chicago Bears are one. I was just looking at another one. Oh, who was it? Oh, the Indianapolis Colts. I really like what they've done. And another team investing in the trenches, the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes.
Everyone's been talking about it, right? The Falcons should be following similar suit, right? Taking advantage of a rookie contract. They are doing that. J.J. McCarthy is QB1 there. They've invested on the interior of that offensive line. Will Fries, Ryan Kelly. I know a lot of people think Garrett Bradbury is going to be cut, but I have seen some Viking insiders and content creators say he may just shift to left guard. He's been very good. And then you have Christian Darrisaw coming back and what's his name? Brian O'Neill on the right. That offensive line looks good.
It does.
It looks good. And then they signed some pretty big name vets on the defensive line, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave. They did lose Cam Bynum, but I did see that Harrison Smith has said he's coming back. Byron Murphy re-signed. And they are going to be an NFC. I mean, the NFC North is going to be a slugfest.
Yeah,
but stacked. One team I didn't mention is our very own NFC South neighbors, The Carolina Panthers.
Brother, oh my God.
They invested heavily on the offense, right? We saw them. I thought they overspent on the offensive line last year. It paid off. One of the best pass protecting offensive lines in the league. Chuba Hubbard to the moon, right? He got paid, and now they're investing in the defensive line. I think once again they are overspending, but if it works out, hey, you overspent for something good, right?
Right. So I like what they did. You know, clearly, I feel like the two moves off the bat that they did, Treshaun Wharton and Bobby Brown. I think it's to help elevate or be on par with what Derek Brown is already doing. We already know Derek Brown is a wrecking ball for them. I mean, Carolina was in the running to sign Milton Williams at one point before the New England Patriots came in and took them to the AFC East. Thank you so much. But yeah, the work that they've done, you know, it has been tremendous. You know, obviously a weak point for this Carolina team last year was the defense. And man, did they solidify it. Signing Pat Jones from the Minnesota Vikings, like you mentioned, Trayvon Moehrig, the young safety out of TCU, drafted by the Raiders. And again, the two big bodies. How much of this do you think is a Bijan and Bucky Brooks effect that the Carolina Panthers, you know, have honed in on that defensive line? Obviously, different skill set runners, but two really good runners, and obviously our very own Bijan and Bucky. Is this Carolina's way of saying, okay, wait a minute, enough running, we got you covered now, man?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to face your division opponents twice a year. You had Bijan, even Tyler, you know, in the first game in Carolina was wrecking havoc on them. We have one of the best run blocking offensive lines. And then the same thing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucky Irving, as a rookie, took over that backfield, and he is very explosive. They re-signed some key pieces. Even, you know, as much as I hate them, the New Orleans Saints, they're probably going to reload on the offensive line. Kellen Moore, he's probably going to be a run-heavy team. So this is their way of counteracting what the NFC South is trying to do and be a run-first team. Now, I will say for the Falcons, in Zach Robinson's year 2, we may see a little shift into being more of a pass-heavy team. I don't know. But definitely they want to not be the laughingstock of the NFL and say, hey, we're playing the Carolina Panthers. Let me put that player in fantasy, you know?
Yo, for sure, man. Michael, Dab Johnson, Keith Simmons, Gabriel Rogers, what's going on? Tyreek Johnson, what's happening, man? Yeah, we have a question right off the rip, man. Did you see Rappaport say a team, or this one here, might trade a third for Kirk? I think that's just pure speculation. I saw the piece.
I saw it too. And I think he was just kind of fumbling over his words. I think what he meant to say was maybe like a day 3 pick, maybe not a third rounder. There's no way in this world that Kirk Cousins is valued as a 3rd round pick. Let's just get that out of the room. I think Ian Rappaport misspoke, but the national media has seemed to shift in what we've all been saying over here is like, hey, Terry's not bluffing. Kirk Cousins will be our backup unless the right trade partner is found.
Right. And, you know, it's an expensive ass backup. I get it. I understand. Weirder stuff has happened in the NFL, dude. So, you know, you got to brace yourself for anything, man. You just really do, right? And having Kirk as you know, as much of a black eye as it is right now to even say his name or even mention him and being with the Atlanta Falcons, he's probably the best possible outcome as a backup you can have right now.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
And you got to think, while we're still on the subject, you know, they prepared to carry Kirk's contract and Michael Penix's into year 2. Of course, we saw Penix still being the backup and learning. We didn't see Kirk Cousins, you know, taking the dive that he did, but they were fully prepared for this investment. Year 3 is a completely different story. If he remains the backup throughout the entire year, as soon as the season over, guess what? Chop, chop, see ya. We're saving all that cap space. But, you know, hindsight is 2020. You said it, Berto. You know, weirder things have happened. And, you know, hindsight 2020 is back in 2021, I think it was, we tried to acquire a quarterback that kind of left a bad taste in our greatest of all time quarterback's mouth, you know, ended up leaving because of it, because the owner tried to get someone. Now look at that contract. Cleveland Browns are having to, you know, pay the consequences of that contract. He's facing allegations that is still going on. They've had to restructure his contract, I think, 3 times now. He tore his Achilles again.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to miss the entire year. So they're paying a top 10 quarterback money for a guy that's not even going to play.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's other teams out there that are facing the same situation that the Atlanta Falcons. So I guess we can rest our head on that, man. But keeping the theme going with the Atlanta Falcons, we have made additions, right? And to start off, hey, listen, punters and snappers' lives matter too in the NFL. So
Special
Liam
teams matter,
McCollum,
right?
they do. Special teams do matter, and Liam McCollum did, kick it off for us with, signing a 4-year extension. And days after, man, I think for me was kind of the shock of all the moves we've done thus far. It's an extending Jake Matthews. Really didn't think that that was a possibility. I thought maybe a simple restructure would have been the avenue, but clearly, 2 years, new money, so to say. I think 45 million, if I'm not mistaken, for our Iron Man left tackle who's missed all but one game in his illustrious career. Will go down as a true Falcon for life. But how do you feel now that knowing that Jake Matthews is, it's going to continue with the Falcons and he signed for 2 more years?
Yeah, so we get him for 4 more years, barring any unforeseen circumstances.
Yep.
And he's anchored that left tackle, that blind side tackle. And I know a lot of people are like, well, we have a left-handed quarterback. He should flip to the right. No, I think that's why they re-signed or they extended him, because now he's not going to be depended on as the blind side guy. He is older. He's an Iron Man. You said it. He may not be that elite left tackle, right? But he is consistent. You can depend on him. He may have 1 or 2 bad games a year. But overall, he's a great left tackle, and so many teams would jump at the opportunity to have someone like that on their team. We drafted him when we did, right? It wasn't a sexy pick. I remember thinking, like, man, left tackle, really?
Yeah.
But look at us now down the road.
Yeah.
Look how far we've come. And just like his dad, he's had a lengthy career, and now he will be a Falcon for life. So overall, it helped the cap situation. It locks up your left side. I like it.
Very good, very good. And a not too popular one, we already kind of discussed it, the Grady Jarrett release, and then for him to, go to the Bears. We wish him the best of luck, man. Me personally, I love Grady. I got to meet the guy in September a couple years back in Giant Stadium. He's down to earth, one of the nicest guys you can ever meet, man. So shout out to you, Grady. Hope for many more years, man, for you to just play at an elite level, man. Pretty much. I got nothing bad to say. I just hate that he's a Bear. That's about it, man. But moving on from Grady, Divine Diablo. What a name.
What a name. I was like, who is this?
Who is this, right? Ridiculed for most of, Falcons Twitter. For me, it was an acquired taste when I first read it, but I had to do the digging, right? I couldn't put anything out there that would, kind of go against the signing. I had to see. And you yourself, man, had put down a masterful piece on the Divine Diablo signing, highlighting what he does good, highlighting things where has untapped potential, maybe, as you put it in your video. But I'll let you springboard into that one. But for me, real quick, I think it's a necessity, right? We have now 4 linebackers. The wild card in this room still is Troy Anderson and how he's going to be featured in this Ulbrich scheme of things, right? The best ability is your availability, and really, Troy Anderson hasn't been that. So, stockpiling more talent in that linebacker room really should be a common thing going forward for these Atlanta Falcons. Does signing Divine really acts the possibility of taking Jihad? No, it doesn't. It really should not have any bearing on what the Falcons do at 15. In fact, you pair a guy like Divine and what he's able to do. He's a long-rangey speed linebacker, right? Maybe a little, maybe in the mold of a Jermaine Sherwood, maybe just, lesser, a little bit less talented, but still in that same category of range and physical attribute. But you pair him with somebody like Jihad Campbell. Holy shit, you got something to work with there in the middle of this defense. But I'll turn it to you, man, because you broke it down way better than what I'm explaining it now. And you got into the nook and cranny of things and how he was featured for that Raiders defense.
Yeah, so if you guys want to check out some film on Divine Diablo, you can check out my page, Dirty Bird Central. I put it out this morning, and it's just quick. I didn't get super detailed to learn what the Raiders were running. I just found some things that he could do well, that he does well. And for me, for Divine, I've seen a lot of people say this, and I really have to agree. a true will linebacker, someone that doesn't have to be the mic, someone that can be off ball and just move in space, right? When how do you say it?
Yeah, Jamin.
Sherwood was re-signed by the Jets, it kind of took the wind out of our sails because everyone was like, he was the guy that we were going after. And so, like you said, Diablo is just a slightly lesser version of him. Converted safety to linebacker, has speed on days, can beat blockers to the spot. He can recognize some things really well. At times, I will say this is where the coaches have to step up and coach him up. At times, he bites way too hard on play action pass. He's so eager to get in there that's the middle of the field becomes too wide open. Now, he wasn't the only one for the Raiders. Robert Spillane, who got paid a lot more, was doing the same thing. Yeah. So it's not like, hey, he sucks, we signed the lesser of the two. He has the traits, he has the attributes. And that's one thing a lot of us fans don't understand is the coaches, they look for qualities that they want on their team, right? Speed, size, length, whatever the team is looking for, that's what they're looking for to add. And Caden Ellis, as good as he is for us at rushing the passer, run fitting, he struggles in coverage because he doesn't have the speed to drop back and get to his spot, turn around and get to his spot and look for action. And that's where Diablo comes in. And just like you said, it doesn't take Jahad Campbell off the table. No. What was our biggest gripe about our rookie group last year, Berto? What was our biggest gripe?
Shit. Our biggest gripe? Not enough playing time, really. Not enough snaps.
So be prepared if they take Jahad Campbell. Caden Ellis is on his last year of his deal. For him to work his way into the rotation, understand what the coaching staff wants, understanding what his responsibilities are, and then in year 2, boom, the starter, the green dot on the helmet. Just be prepared for that if Campbell is taken. But speed is the name of the game, and Diablo has that.
Yeah, and one other thing too that Ulbrich brings, even when he was here, linebackers play good. He brings that mentality. He had these linebackers playing sound. In New York, sure, the talent's a little bit more, superior to what we have currently now in Atlanta, but he had Mosley, Quincy Williams and company playing sound ball. So we can expect that. So low key, really, the linebacking core, once it's all said and done, could be a strength for this Falcons team when it's all said and done. And that's not a bad thing, because it just allows more creativity up front. But I definitely got to get to this chat. There's so many people coming through. Yeah, Ladarius Brown, what is going on, brother? Good evening to you. Carrie, what's going on? Thank you for always joining and supporting. Zay in the bag, our brother, man. What's happening? What's happening, man? My brother Gavino, a good friend of mine's there from Bleacher Report, man. What it do, man? Hope all is well with you. Let's go here. Atlanta Falcons talk. ATL Falcons talk. Diablo kind of feels like a Nate Landman move. Could be sneaking. Yeah, I mean, you bring in Diablo for all the things Landman couldn't do, which is cover. Look super lost in a lot of his assignments. Nate Landman did. I don't think you're going to get that same type of spew from Diablo.
No, I think he can run fit really well, just like Landman. He may be lighter in weight, but Diablo can hit. Diablo can hit, and in the film that I watched, man, when he gets a running start, he's going to let you know he's there. So I think he's an upgrade from Nate Landman, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, right off the rip, another good question here. Jada, CJ Mosley was released. Do you think the Falcons would get him to connect with Jeff Ulbrich? Flip it to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the connection's there. I think even though he's been pretty consistent, I think CJ Mosley has lost his step. Could it be a la Bobby Wagner with Dan Quinn? Maybe.
Possibly.
Possibly. You pair him with the speedy guy like Diablo, who can, CJ Mosley was one of the best linebackers when he was in Baltimore. He went to New York. Early years in New York was one of the best. He's smart. He knows football. So that could be someone that you bring in your linebacker room. Now, they do have 4 linebackers in the room. Then it becomes very crowded. So if they do sign CJ Mosley, who's the odd man out? It most likely would be Troy Anderson.
Man, that's so funny you that you mentioned that, because running a group text, that's one of the things that I propose. Even if we go Jahad Campbell in the draft, odd man out for me, man, it's got to be Troy. And sure, there's a fantasy pairing where Troy's athleticism, if he stays healthy a full 17 games, pair that with Jahad Campbell, brother, we're gonna have some, a dynamic pass coverage, on the middle of our defense because of those guys and their ranginess. But I can't trust Troy Anderson to save my life at the moment, man.
Yeah, he just can't stay on the field. Sorry to interrupt real
No,
quick.
bro. Yep.
Just another signing by the Falcons. Kyle Hinton has been re-signed by the
Interesting
Atlanta
move.
Falcons. Just depth piece, swing tackle, swing guard. He came in for Chris Lindstrom when he would miss some snaps.
Mhm.
He can plug him. He's a plug and play guard. I don't hate it. He was on my offseason move list to re-sign as just a depth piece. So I don't mind it.
Yeah, man. Speaking of swings, speaking of those the position of the guard, the center spot. We have to hit back on that. We lost Dahlman, right? And Ryan Uziel got hit with the lowest tendered possible, allowing the Falcons to match any offer that's thrown his way.
Mm-hmm.
Is it safe to say he's going to be penciled in as day one, or are we looking at names like you mentioned, Garrett Bradbury of the Minnesota Vikings? We don't know what they're doing with him, but there is a connection here in Atlanta in the form of Dwayne Ledford, as both of them played and coached under NC State the time that Dwayne Ledford was there. So he knows Garrett Bradbury pretty well. There was another intriguing name that was on the market that is off the market in Josh Mayers. I had my eyes on him as a possible, fill-in guy type stuff, 6'5", 300 bills, man, 1,006 snaps, only 3 sacks allowed last year. And I think that playing alongside Lindstrom and Bergeron would have elevated Mayers, kind of the same thing it would have done or would do for Garrett Bradbury and what it's done for Drew Dahlman. Because me and you, we've spoken about that. Drew Dahlman's play, sure, it was good, but it speaks to how good Bergeron and Lindstrom is on his left and right side.
Yeah.
So,
credit to Drew Dahlman. He was a 5th round pick. Funny enough, him and Grady were both 5th round picks that both go to the Chicago Bears. Dahlman was smart, right? Yeah. Dahlman understood when he needed to take a certain angle to get to a linebacker to the second level, and when he knew there was going to be a tough test to reach a 3 technique. Grady Jarrett talked about it in his presser today, giving him kudos on how quick his first step is and how quick he can get his hat across the 3 technique, the 1 or 2 technique. But that part of his success came from having an all-pro right guard, an all-pro from his run blocking, right? Good pass blocking, but all-pro level run blocking, and then Bergeron, who's coming into his own at left guard. So he's going to, Dahlman, I think, will be okay. Not to get off subject, but in Chicago, because he's got an all-pro in Tooney, and now he's got Jonah Jackson on his other side, who plays better at guard. But I think we can find someone. We talked about this, Uziel being tendered. I mean, you would hope it would have been for a 2nd-round tender. The right first of refusal is only $3 million that we would have to match. A 2nd-round tender would have been $5. If Uziel would have left, we would have gotten we would have gotten draft compensation. Now we won't if he leaves. But we talked about Jovan Gwynn, right? He's been in the Dwayne Ledford system for 2 years now, right? We drafted him in the 7th round. We cut him. He's been on the practice squad. He played some preseason snaps. Then we signed him to a future contract. Okay, he can play guard, but he's also been transitioning to play center. Okay, so to me, if Uziel is the center with Gwynn, you let him battle it out and you give it a go. Is the center an important position? Absolutely. He's the general, right? But if the coaching staff is putting the pressure on Penix to check the protection and, slide the line and whatever, then you just need a guy that can move. Right. And both guys, I think, can be good enough to where we get to 2026. We have more draft capital. Maybe there's a free agent we can sign, more draft space. Then you address it. Just going to be one of those positions where it's like everyone's going to be putting their head on, if it doesn't work out, like, oh, come on, Terry. But this is the situation we're in. Dahlman was offered the same amount of money. He chose to go to Chicago. Maybe he wants to run a Ben Johnson offense versus a Zach Robinson offense. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. Every player's got their own agenda.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And another agenda, man. This next signing, by the Atlanta Falcons. Some would say it's a year or two too late, but it's justified now. This man's bringing 8.5 sacks, which would have led this Falcon team in sacks last year, as our leading sack getter was Arnold Ebiketie. But Leonard Floyd makes his way to the Atlanta Falcons to a tune of 1 year, $10 million. Is now reunited with Coach Raheem from their time with the Rams.
Sorry, Elijah
No,
Wilkinson.
you're good.
Elijah
Wilkinson's back.
Re-signed, yes. He is
Wow.
back. We are adding our depth pieces at the offensive line. So that's a swing tackle right there.
Sure is. Yep,
Okay.
swing
Anyway,
tackle.
sorry.
No, you're good. All but says goodbye to Storm Norton, who's been our swing tackle past couple years. But yes, back to the Leonard Floyd situation. Comes to Atlanta finally. Paired up again with Raheem, and he had a lot of success with Raheem in that scheme with the Rams. Do you feel like he's going to have the same amount of success now with this Falcons? If we're comparing teams, that Rams team, when Leonard Floyd had 10 plus sacks, obviously still had all world Aaron Donald and a couple other figures there. Just last year with Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Armstead and company, he really didn't have to do a lot per se. He wasn't the focal guy. Does this Leonard Floyd signing put pressure on him to be the focal guy in this scheme with Ulbrich? What do you feel?
So if we don't add someone else that's a little bit higher, has a higher ceiling than him, then asking him to be the guy, it's not going to work out. It's the same thing with Judon, right? We got an older Judon. We wanted him to be the guy. Well, he's not that guy at his age. He needs to be the Robin to the Batman. And that's why, trading for someone like Trey Hendrickson and Micah Parsons would free him up on those one-on-ones because he still has bend,
Sure does.
He still has bend and he's got a good set of pass rush moves. He's good against the run and he understands what Raheem wants in simulated pressures, where his keys are when he drops into coverage or spot drops, whatever they're going to ask him. The familiarity with Raheem, I think, is what lured him this way. Got a nice payday, less than some other guys on 1-year deals. But I think being the 1B or 2A guy, because let's be real, if Ebiketie's on the other side, Ebiketie's a nice cleanup guy. He wins on occasion with bend, but he's not that alpha dog. And that's why, everyone's been craving that pass rusher. And now we have an opportunity to trade for one. We get one of those guys. I think Floyd will have like another 8.5 to 10 sack season because that other guy on the other side is demanding so much attention.
Yeah. So for me, listen, we need it, right? We need sacks. We need somebody that can get after it. Sure, AK, his trajectory is moving up. Hopefully, a Leonard Floyd addition does wonders for him where he can break out maybe in this scheme. Because I feel like Ulbrich will use Ebiketie in that Will McDonald role, like he did with the Jets. I feel because of the speed, the length. I think that Ebiketie is twitchy enough and athletic enough that he can pull that off, right? But I say all that to say this. What good is it signing Leonard Floyd if we don't have the meat in the middle of this defense? Guys that can occupy space, for one, or just an alpha like you just mentioned that is going to require a double team right off the rip. The draft definitely offers some of these guys. So are these signings really clearing the way, being called Spider-Man, be clearing the way for the Falcons to take a guy like Walter Nolan at 15, maybe Kenneth Grant in a trade down scenario? I just look at it like that because you can sign whomever you want as edge rushers, but what does it mean to this Falcons team when the middle of this defense that has been an Achilles heel in the past, it's not strengthened the way that it needs to be? And oh, by the way, Grady Jarrett exited.
Yeah, so the key is always, you like to see the sack numbers down. The Falcons historically have been one of the worst, and it sucks being there. But, I go back to Grady and what he said. He may only have 36.5 sacks in his 10-year career, but he's the franchise leader in quarterback pressures. It's all about, and Ulbrich said that in his presser, it's all about getting to the quarterback, getting them off their spot, and messing up the timing of the play. That in itself wins you the down, right? As long as you win more of those, you and ultimately can win the game. My thing is in the middle, it feels like we have so many 3 to 5 techniques, right? We
Yes.
have so many 3 to 5 techniques. We don't have a true like 0 to 1 guy or 0 to 3 guy.
Mhm.
Rook can do that for you a little bit, but that's
Mhm.
why Walter Nolan, I don't think keys in because he's a true 3 technique in my opinion. And seeing his tape from A&M and Ole Miss, that's where he thrives. When he's in that A gap and the 0 to 1, he struggles a little bit because they get double teamed so much, right? And that's why
Mhm.
Grady won so much, is because he was able to win with speed. Nolan doesn't have Grady speed. He doesn't. But Kenneth Grant intrigues me.
Mhm.
Man, I'm blanking on some of these other prospects. Oh, CJ West from Indiana.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
He's powerful and can eat some blocks. Now, the question, what's your take on Rook?
Mm.
He had all last season to learn from Grady. He's the Clemson dog. Maybe he can play the 0 to 1. He's 6'4", 300 pounds. He's got size, right? He played a little bit of that in Clemson. While he was injured, he was learning and whatever with his rehab, strengthening this in the scheme, right? So I think Rook, Dorless, Harrison, who am I missing? Taquan came back.
Taquan great.
Maybe Taquan's playing the 0 to 1, right?
Mm.
Lakel London on a future contract. Like, we have good pieces. But man, I to answer your question on Walter Nolan, I have a hard time passing up someone like Jihad,
Yep.
Will Johnson, or Malachi Starks if they're there at 15.
And speaking of Malachi Starks, man, the Falcons brass was there, in person, and a lot of the coaches and scouts that were there, man, they were just in awe when they watched Malachi Stark, this guy in his phenomenal plays,
A
man.
special delivery from my wife.
Special delivery. But I'm gonna give my quick take on Rook, and something. I kind of hate it for the young man because I feel like there's an immense pressure now put on him to be the lead dog on this defensive line. Sure, as you mentioned, he had all year to learn from Grady, right? And everybody's attention span, or the retention plug, as I call it, it only goes so much. Where was Brooks? How much was he able to pick up from a guy like Grady? Can he now translate that on the field and be the lead guy on this defensive line? I just don't know. This is a guy that was a healthy scratch for the first 5 or 6 games of the week of games last year. So like, I need more. I need more pop in the middle of this defense to help Rook and company. Really do.
Derek Harmon, I forgot about him.
Derek Harmon.
He's a
Yeah,
beefy guy, and he can do it too. He can
sure,
do it too. And
sure,
the good thing with Derek Harmon is at Oregon, he could play the 0 to 5. That
sure
was
can.
his versatility. He's quick for a big boy.
Love Oregon, man.
330 pounds,
330,
6 foot what? 6.
6'5", 6'6", something like that.
That
Dude's
is
a
a
dancing bear.
massive human being. Like,
Yeah.
that would be like a dog. I think could potentially work his way. I compared him to Haloti Nada, and we saw Haloti Nada's
Oh,
career.
we sure did. We sure did, man.
That was a good
Absolutely, man.
career.
So here's an interesting one too. The Tony Wright, what's going on, brother? Glad to see you. Yes, it's been a minute, man. Glad to be back in the space, and I'm glad you're still tagging along and supporting. We definitely appreciate that. But Braylon Trice, right? It's a wild card in this whole edge rushing group and situation. I for one, as many may have said it already, I'm not expecting big things out of Braylon. I'm not. 1 year removed from an ACL injury. We've seen what effect that did to Grady. He plays that important edge position where he's constantly in shift mode. Is he running down the backside, the running back from the backside? Is he on a pass rush, on a bootleg from a would-be quarterback? The thing is, with Braylon, we have to temper our expectations. He is coming back from that injury. I would be happy if this guy gives us 5 or 6 sacks, to be honest with you, man, and live to see another day. I just don't expect him to be the lead dog in that edge room just yet. I think the hype that we saw in Washington will trickle in year 2, year 3 of his pro career, but 2 years removed from that ACL injury.
Yeah, a lot of people need to temper expectations. He is young. The rest of his body didn't take a beating from his rookie year. But an ACL is so crucial in the sport of football, in any type of sport, really. And you got to find your way and get comfortable enough to trust that it's holding up. Even with all the rehab, right? There's always that voice in the back of your mind that's not going to allow you to go 100%. As the year progresses, we could see the potential in Braylon Trice, but it's going to be 2026 where I think we really reap the benefit of drafting Braylon Trice.
Yeah. Here's one. Stark is legit would be a great pickup. I agree. He would be a great pickup. I mean, I think it would definitely be better than the Simmons-Bates tandem. I know that split safety look killed Simmons in that defensive alignment by Jimmy Lake. But honestly,
Simmons looks like he's on his way out. He apparently wants to go
does.
play with Philly.
Exactly. They asked him the Vic Fangio question. He would love to be reunited with him. Sure, go have that. But for Starks in a Falcons uniform paired with Bates, name me a time when Ulbrich as a coach in any organization had an elite duo like this. Specifically him learning, learning that Robert Saleh scheme of things. Imagine two guys that can just literally now take the top of a defense away or of an offense away. All the creativity to allow you with that front seven and the ways you can dial up blitzes. You literally can, you could be so creative is what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
So that would be an ultimate get. So yes, he would be a legit pickup. And I think he will be available there at 15 once the Falcons time comes up.
I think he would take the Brian Branch path for us, which would be, he comes in, he plays the nickel.
Yep.
He has the technique. A lot of people say he's only a high safety. No, he's got really good footwork, fluid hips, has great trail technique. He understands how to play, corner. So to be in the nickel, he run fits really well. He could play in the box. I would like to see him at the nickel to start off. And then the following year, you could get someone else to fill that nickel role. So then he could be that high safety, that ball hawk type. So I really like Starks. I know everyone's like, oh, they never draft Georgia guys. It's not going to happen. Well, he's there. And we saw the reports, the amount. I think this is the most Falcon staff, GM, assistant GM, head coach, defensive coaches, all of it, even offensive line coaches, right? Because they've got some good interior guys that are coming into the draft.
Yeah.
They were all there looking at them because I really do think they could take a dog this year in the first round.
This is looking and shaping to be the year that it happens. Jalen Walker, Mykel Williams, Malachi Starks. You have 3 dogs, top 20 picks, and you can shift them whichever way you want, but all worth mentioning in the top 20. What about Florida Gators defensive tackle Cam Jackson?
Wait, Florida Gator. Oh yeah, no.
That's Cam. Yeah. Yeah. I would have to be. I'd rather have Deion Walker.
No, get out of here. Did you see the report? The report that he played with a broken back last year? That's nuts. Kudos to him. But man, take care of your body, young man. Yes. You lost a lot of money because you put the team in front of yourself. Like, okay, that shows the type of person you are, but come on, man. That's a broken back, brother.
Yeah. His 2023 tape speaks volumes of the player he's going to be in the pro level once he heals up from a broken freaking back, man. This is cool, man. Right here, Mason Graham. Your quick take on him. Because, dude, sometimes my takes are fucking out of this world. But I'll say this real quick. Yeah, he was a benefactor in a lot of games from Kenneth Grant playing next to him. Sorry, not sorry.
I think some people think that. I think he's actually that guy.
Okay.
He's quick. He's got great hands. He's got an elite first step. Now, he's not 6'5". He's 6'3". He's 6'3". He is that true 3 technique again, right? If he's there and you take him, I love it. Right? I love it because he can elevate your defensive tackle room. You may ask him to play the A gap, B gap, 1 to 3. If he fell to, that's hard to pass up someone that's considered a blue chip prospect.
Yeah.
Someone that should go in the top 5 if he falls to 15 for whatever reason. At that point, like someone in the back end is salivating and you could take advantage of some capital too.
For sure, man. Yeah, so moving on with the Falcons signees. Mike Hughes returns back to the Falcons, 3-year, $18 million. I think that's a solid addition. Well, not really an addition, right? He just re-signs with the team. But he had a good season last year, man. Yeah. As great as AJ was on the other side, Mike Hughes, did work, man.
Yeah.
He was seldom targeted as well. I think a lot of teams knew where to attack the Falcons, which is the middle of the defense in that nickel spot that we had. Sorry, D. Alford, we love you. But yeah, man, Mike Hughes back on a 3-year deal. I'm good with it. Some would say it eliminates a Will Johnson possibly at 15 if he drops, signing him. So, I mean, you don't think so?
No?
No?
No.
Okay.
Will Johnson's he's a type of prospect that you take because
Yep.
Sure, you sign Mike Hughes. It's $6 million a year. The way the cornerback market was going, I thought he was going to get more. Honestly,
Yeah.
when we didn't re-sign him, I was like, oh, we lost him. He's getting probably $10 million a year.
Yep.
But no, we signed him to $6 million a year. He wanted to stay back. He played really well in a zone-heavy scheme where he thrives, and he actually played the run effectively. He had 1 or 2 bad games, right? I think collected. Yeah, right. Collectively, the secondary had 1 or 2 really bad games, and he was a part of that. But overall, he had a really good season. And when he shifted from the inside to the outside, that's where he really took off. So when I saw the numbers and that he was back, I was really excited. Initially, I was like, man, he's good. I'm okay going there. But then I started thinking of how many empty roster spots we got. I'm like, you know what?
Makes sense.
Bring him back.
Bring him back. Unlimited draft capital that we have this year. We can't, we can't address our damn needs. And what a year to have lesser picks than usual because it's a loaded defensive class. Cornerback, safety, defensive line. It's looking good. 2 right off the rip. Cordero Hodge comes back on a 2-year deal, and Mike Ford comes back. Mike Ford was a member of the Falcons in 2022. He's now back. We are going to have probably, like I mentioned in the text, the number 1 special teams in the league, man. With those
2 of the best gunners. 2 of the best gunners.
Yep, bar none, man. But also serves, as depth pieces as well. We saw Cordero Hodge and the magic that he was able to do for us last year. When Drake went down, and even Mike Ford, he could play on the outside. Scary to think.
Yeah, I really don't hope we have to depend on him at all. But if he has to, he can play. He can play corner and just have a safety over the top.
Yeah, we're just asking Clark Phillips low key to just elevate your game, brother. You're gonna be sorely needed in this year's scheme. So I think that rounds out really the signees. Taquan Graham, you already mentioned he's back on a 1-year deal, which. Hey, listen, I'm okay with that as a rotational piece. What a lot of folks probably missed out on is Taquan Graham was actually playing pretty good, man, before he went down with that pec injury, man. He really was.
He was. He's a really good run defender. He's aggressive. He's powerful. He's got the size that Raheem wants. Natron Brooks, I'm okay giving a shot.
Me too.
Competing for that nickel spot. He's a thumper, which we didn't have in the run game and the slot. And he covers probably the same as D Alford, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he's got more size than D, so maybe some of the things that D struggled with because he wasn't as tall or as long. That can be eliminated by Natron Brooks. Also, we re-signed Josh Woods, linebacker Josh Woods.
Okay, Josh Woods.
Depth pieces, special teams guys. So
pretty solid. But for me, the Natron Brooks situation, I mean, for me, heartbroken, if you want to call it that, in the preseason because he was the star of the preseason. I was shocked that he didn't make the final 53. He obviously did come back, on the practice squad. But hopefully in this new scheme with Ulbrich, he gets a chance to shine and really show his worth. So yeah, I'm all for it, man. I'm all for him getting a shot in that slot, man. This is the time where we're gonna talk about some of the free agent signings of other teams again. We dabbled a little bit.
Berto, tell me who you didn't say who you thought were winners.
Oh,
who
I did.
Your winners.
My winners, man. So Carolina for me was a winner, bar none. Who was another winner? But this one has an asterisk right next to it. The Denver Broncos, to me, low-key were a winner in this free agency period. One guy that I know you linked to the Atlanta Falcons a couple times, Fuaga, the safety there. and everybody's fan favorite, Dre Greenlaw, both signed by the Denver Broncos. Broncos already adding to a pretty solid defense, man.
And they got Evan Ingram today.
And they got Evan Ingram, so that kind of eliminates tight end for the Broncos in the first round. They could go offense, they could go defense again at another spot. But I'll say this, and I said asterisk with these two guys because is this a high risk, low reward? And I say it like that, ass backwards, because these are guys with some injury history and they signed for a pretty penny. So is this something that Denver is like, all right, you know what? We don't give a damn. We're expecting to see the Drake Greenlaw for 2023 that was a top 5 linebacker and graded out great in PFF and coverage. And Fuaga, was almost a Pro Bowler, playing those years with the 49ers, a thumper, a coverage guy. So to me, it's high risk, low reward because of that only.
Yeah, you see what can be, and they probably trust their training staff to keep them healthy, keep their bodies right. And Dre Greenlaw came back for a couple games. He had a separate injury from the Achilles that kind of the 49ers were like, all right, let's just shut you down. Your body isn't ready to come back because you didn't go through camp and everything. It just sucks that he tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl, so he missed a lot of time. But a linebacker upgrading from Cody Barton to Dre Greenlaw, that's huge.
Sure
he
is.
Brings a tenacity and attitude in the middle of the field, run or pass. And then Talanoa Hufanga, I had to say his name because I couldn't remember his last one.
Yeah, I would have butchered that first one.
Safety was a need for them as well. And he's more of a strong safety, right? A box safety that can cover well. That to me, man, dude, come on. They are really going to contend against the Chiefs for the AFC West.
I feel so. And, I'm really happy. Actually, you know what? As I was mentioning my other winner, I'm going to mention it now, the Minnesota Vikings, but more so not just because of all the defensive pieces that they've added. So we're going to see that defense be great again with all these guys, with all the havoc they're going to create in the middle. But guys like Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator, guys like Vance Joseph, who, hopefully in 2026, 2027, if there is a coaching candidacy open, these guys are the front runners for them because I'm expecting them to do fantastic work with the talent that they've acquired for their respective teams. Now we can go onto the losers right quick.
Yeah.
And
what do you got? Well, my first loser is the Seattle Seahawks. You cut all those guys.
Yeah.
You trade away DK. You trade Geno. You cut Tyler Lockett. You gut your offense and your defense. You overpay on DeMarcus Lawrence. You overpay in Sam Darnold, who doesn't have an offensive line. I know everyone likes to bring up the stats. Oh, the Vikings didn't have a good pass protection. Geno was different, bro. Geno had pocket awareness that I don't think Sam does. We saw it in the playoffs, right? He's got to go up against that Rams defensive front twice a year now.
Twice a year, man.
Twice a year. You kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
To me, the Seahawks created all this cap space, and then they spent it on 2 players that were overpaid. My other loser, year in and year out, is the Dallas Cowboys. They restructure Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb's contract, and then they're just signing and trading for first-round busts. Like, literally. They got, what's his name, from Khair Elam. They traded for Kenneth Murray. Last year they traded for Jonathan Mingo. Who else did they sign? They let go of Rico Dowdle, right?
Yeah, he went
with the Panthers.
With the Panthers, yep.
And it's Solomon Thomas, who I think, okay, I like the Solomon Thomas signing. But he is considered a first-round bust because he didn't live up to expectations. But you made all this cap space. You pushed the restructure down the line for what?
Yeah.
Michael Parsons' contract, if you extend him, it's not going to hit this year. Like that. Those are my 2 biggest losers in my opinion.
All right. I think I have one, and I'll stick to this one.
Okay.
The most sacked quarterback in the NFL, not named Caleb Williams, was, if you in chat, chime in if you know.
Was it Will Levis?
No.
Kyler Murray?
No. Surprisingly.
Yeah, surprisingly. Damn.
Not Sam.
Who it
CJ
wasn't?
Stroud, man.
Oh yeah.
The Houston freaking Texans, man. You have a franchise quarterback, but let me trade my franchise left tackle to the Commanders. Shout out to the Commanders because they did some work on that one. But you also get rid of Shaq Mason. You also get rid of Kenyon Green. But they were bodies on that offensive line. So now you go into this season. Is offense the name of the game? Are you relying so much on your defense, which was good?
They added to it. Remember, they traded for C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah,
they added some piece. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, Super Bowl winning trash talker C.J. He fits the trash talking of the Texans. Yeah. But
so, I don't think the NFL wants to see, nor does the Houston Texans have him drop back so many times and then literally have to run for his life, and that's exactly what they're going to
Trevor Lawrence him. They're going to Trevor
Lawrence.
That
sucks. Him. Yeah, exactly. So for me, the Texans was the biggest loser in this free agency.
I mean, unless they're planning on using some of their high-end capital, because they gained a lot from Laramie Tunsil. He did lead the league in penalties, but he was still at an all-pro level.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the kid from LSU, is it Will Compton?
Will Campbell.
Will Campbell. I say Compton. I don't know why, but I'm thinking about the linebacker. Yeah. Campbell, Mambu. But after that, Kelvin Banks Jr.
Josh Connerly is a guy I'm looking at for them.
He's climbing up, and the kid from North Dakota as well. So they Zabel. So you got 4 guys really that you can start an offensive line with, but the talent pool does dip significantly. Once those guys are taken.
There's a lot of good guards that are disguised as tackles, is what someone did say early in the offseason when prospects were being looked at. There's a lot of good guards that were good offensive tackles in college. They're not going to be good offensive tackles in the NFL. I could see them go guard, Tyler Booker. Greg Zabel is actually linked to move into guard. I could see someone like Donovan Jackson sneak his way in. Josh Simmons, if he's there.
Yep, the other Ohio State guy.
Think about it. They are a prime trade candidate for the Falcons if Josh Simmons is there at 15 and their guy is taken, and they could give up some of that capital that they just acquired. So, we could take advantage of some of these teams. Terry Fountain, your job's kind of on the line, so I would, take advantage. Call them up and be like, look, man, don't be playing no games, dog. Don't be playing no games. I know you need a line. We all saw draft day, right? That's how they talk to each other.
That's how they talk to them, yeah. Mark says, is Rondell Moore going to re-sign with us? We let him train at our facility this offseason, I think, which, you're very right. He has put some stuff on social media, him working out. You see the elusiveness, you see the explosiveness. It's there. I don't think he comes back to the Atlanta Falcons. I really feel like Casey Washington should get a shot to showcase what he has. That's the wide receiver we took last year from Illinois. So we got to give him a shot. We can't bury these guys on the depth chart no longer. We got, and we got Chris Blair too. If I'm not mistaken, he's still with the team.
He's still there. Yep. He's still there. And we just re-signed Kadarrell Hodge. That's another receiver. That's a special team guy that's going to be running with the second team. We've got bodies. Rondell Moore, unfortunately, is the odd man out. I could see, Avery Williams is gone. Ray McLeod. Get ready to go back to your special teams ways.
Yeah. I'll take this one more before we throw out this next topic, which may be our last one, but one free agent or two that are still left out there that may pique your interest. But before we get into that, Jaden McKnight goes, my crew, what's good, fam? And my winners are the New England Patriots. Listen, I'm in the New England area. I won't even say what I feel really about New England, but I see Mike Gravel's work and I respect it. Signing Milton Williams, definitely not the body size that Jeffrey Simmons offers, but the disruption is absolutely there. And Milton Williams with Christian Barrymore coming back healthy this 2025 season.
Keon White.
Yep, Keon White. So they that defense, it'll play better. Christian Gonzalez, obviously.
Who they get? They got Carlton Davis on the other
They got
side.
Carlton Davis on the other side. Sneaky good spot for him. So they're making some noise for the AFC East. They're definitely making it a little bit harder for who else is there? Oh,
Josh
yeah,
Allen.
Bills, Josh Allen. But that's my take on that. If you have one, go ahead and throw it out with the New England signings. But if not, we'll move on to free agents that are left on the board, which there are still a bunch of quality free agents that are left out there. One guy that maybe sticks out to you, Bro Talk, who you see out there in the landscape that you say, oh, the Falcons should definitely go after this guy.
So one that really sticks out that I'm surprised he hasn't signed anywhere is, where'd he go? I just had him. Draymond Jones.
Yes.
From the Seahawks.
What a story.
He's a disruptor, dude. You can line him up anywhere. And he's just going to get after. You know, he got after us this past season when we played him.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
He's someone that I truly am shocked that he hasn't found a new home. And I'll throw one more out there. Zadarius Smith.
He's still out there?
He's still out there. He got cut by the Lions. He's still out there.
Huh.
Who went to the Titans?
Yeah, who went to the Titans?
Draymond Jones? Did he really? I did not see that one come through. And if that's the case, good on the Titans.
Yeah, good on the Titans, man. Yep.
Okay, so Jones did sign. Okay, Jones signed with the Titans. I missed that alert. So, well, there you go.
Man.
They reinforced. He gets to play with Jeffrey Simmons, and he's old. He ain't that old, brother. Listen, well, how old is he? He's only 28. That's not old.
That's not old, man.
I had someone tell me that C.J. Mosley at 32 is old. That's not old.
I must be over the hill then.
I'm way over the hill.
Jeez, man. Oh, man. All right. So
Asante Samuel Jr. Someone, Jaden in the chat just said it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been beating the drum for him all offseason.
You have. That is very true, man. So I'll give you two names, right? And different than what I said earlier to you today through text. So I kind of shifted one offense, one defense. I'll continue with the offense one, but I'll give you the defense first. And that's Julian Blackmon, the former safety of the Indianapolis Colts. Was replaced by Cameron Bynum, which Minnesota saw little exodus on their defensive side. But Bynum now now there with the Colts. Julian Blackmon now is a free agent, 6 foot free agent, strong safety. Can you call him a ball hawk? Maybe. Very instinctual safety. Had 3 interceptions last year, 6 foot, almost 200 pounds. Unfortunately, suffered an injury to end his season early last year. So he's working back from something. But it definitely fits a need at the strong safety spot, alongside Jesse Bates. So Julian Blackmon is a name that's out there that I'm curious to see what Atlanta feels in the coming weeks or in the coming days. Okay. And the other one, and you gave me some great insight as to why, but I'll still bang on the table, right? Because tackles that young don't often show up on the free agent board. And this man was taking, I think he was top 10, Jedarick Willis from the Cleveland Browns. I'm not going to shy away from him, man. But this kid, when he played at Alabama, on his natural side, the right side, was a stonewall. Why not bring him in to the Atlanta Falcons? Low risk, possible high reward. You just don't know, right? We don't know that the offensive line whisperer in Dwayne Ledford and what he could get out of him. We've seen what he's done with Mekhi Becton in the past. So Jedarick Willis, obviously is gonna fit a need next year when right tackle then probably comes a premium for this Falcons team. And I know you're a Caleb McGarry fan. I know that you are, but
he's been good.
He hasn't been good. I'm just throwing that out there. You gotta, if we spent so much time rebuilding the offensive line. It started in 2019 with Lindstrom and McGarry. You kind of have to start, plucking at pieces that, could potentially fit down the line. Kevin Stefanski, the operation that he runs with the Cleveland Browns, obviously Zach Robinson and his knowledge that he's gathered from the Rams and with the Vikings. Stefanski runs a variation of some sort with the Cleveland Browns on that offense. So he can come in and actually challenge a guy like McGarry. Why not?
Someone I just saw that I completely forgot. It's an offensive player. Offensive line too.
Oh, God.
Andre James, center, formerly of the Raiders. He was actually cut. So he's a free agent. He's got experience at the start as a starter.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's this nugget right here. Yep. Tanisha, thank you so much for throwing this out. Did y'all know Lindstrom trained to be a center in his draft prep? Absolutely did.
No, don't do that to him.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man. In the pinch, hey, Lindstrom, can you get on the center? Why not?
Get that ball in your hand. You know, I had to playing offensive line myself. I had to do the same thing, so I get it. Your team needs you. You know, when I was playing ball, my center broke his ankle and was out for the year, and coaches looked at me and were like, "Hey, we need you to play center." And I was like, "All right, let's do this."
Yeah. Got some great names being thrown out here too, man. Zadarius Smith, who was acquired by the Lions last year, is now a free agent.
I was surprised when they cut him, honestly.
Me too. You know, I felt like he was still, he was still productive. He was still QB pressuring. You know, the sacks probably weren't coming like he used to have them in with Cleveland, obviously being the lone dog on that defensive line for the Lions. You know, no one could have foretold the Hutchinson injury, but hey, it is what it is. Desmond Ridder, what are you doing, Terry?
Why would you highlight that?
I just had to.
Listen, we went through that. He's an ex-girlfriend. You don't go back.
Right.
You don't go back. And no, Dante Fowler, get out of there. Azeez Ojulari,
damage goods.
Look at me. Okay. Who was the last Georgia Bulldog drafted by the New York Giants that came to your Atlanta Falcons? Tell me, who was it?
Lorenzo Carter.
That was Lorenzo Carter. Tell me if that worked. Berto? Oh. I'm out on Azeez.
Oh shit, man. This is great, man. Oh man. Finally here, man. Jones, what's happening? I tuned in just now to catch the O-line talk. I agree. Keep bolstering the group every season. Never settle. My guy, Jones Bones, man.
He's a Trenton Finado.
He is. Hey, and quite frankly, you have to, man. You have to protect your future. But bro talk, man. We've been on for an hour and 2 minutes, man. Anything you want to add before we part, man?
Yes. We're gonna have a kumbaya moment, chat.
Oh, Lord.
You and I. Everyone take a deep breath. Okay. Everything's gonna be all right. Okay. It's gonna be another great off season. And they're not gonna draft the player you want.
Oh God.
Okay. Prepare yourself. Terry's not going to do what you want. He's not going to do what I want. He's going to do what he thinks is best for the team. And we're going to have to live with it and enter the 2025 season as NFC South favorites. Come on, baby.
Let's do it, man. Come on, Luther Bird. I mean.
Oh, God. All right. Get out of here. Let's get out of here.
Oh, man. But as always, man, we thank you so very much, man, for joining us, man. Please, as it mentions on the bottom, please subscribe to both of our channels, man, if you haven't already, man. Yes, if you want some illustrious bowls of pleasure, please tap into @DirtyBird Central. My guy is well over the 1100 mark. If you don't know who I am, my name is Berto, host of the 95 North Falcons Talk Show. That's the platform you can find me on YouTube. He's brotalk @DirtyBird Central. Please go on, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button, man. To continue supporting us, man. And again, we thank every one of you guys for coming out this evening and rocking out with us in this free agency frenzy special, man. But until then, we will find you very, very soon. We might be dropping another mock draft pretty soon. Maybe a post free agency.
Yeah. Hey, Carrie, don't stress about it. Don't stress about it.
Is it weird to y'all that Ulbrich hasn't brought a single defensive player from the Jets, or am I overthinking it?
They've all been like way out of our price range. Let me just say that.
Ulbrich is in the McDonald's situation last year when we felt like all these Baltimore Raven players were going to head to Seattle, and they didn't. So same thing here with Ulbrich and these Jets players.
We thought all the Rams players were going to come to Atlanta last year, and they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, you had Jalen Ramsey saying he'd run through a wall, but he's still within the walls of Miami.
Right, and Kelo Witherspoon nearly missed camp because he was a free agent, and he still went back to L.A.
Man. But, hey, bro, talk 640 45 viewers, man. So we definitely appreciate wherever you're watching, whichever platform, whether that be X, YouTube, my page, Bro Talks page, on Twitter, same. We appreciate everybody. We will catch you on the flip side, everybody. Take care. Peace.